Krish.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm in operational excellence.
What does a day in the life look like doing that so far?
It's mostly been Excel work, collecting data so far.
And how did you get this job?
My uncle uncle works for the company and he helped me out.
And how much do you make?
I make $19.50 an hour.
And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
Honestly, the trip down to Toronto, I'm from Oakville, so like the trip down here, kind of dressing up, it's fun.
Is this your first job?
No, it's my first like real job though.
Do you feel like you're fairly compensated?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Charlene,
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a consultant.
What's a day in the life look like as a consultant?
It depends project per project, but typically consists of like team meetings, client meetings, individual work sessions, things like that.
And how did you get this job? What path did you take?
I did some internships in university and then decided I like to do this full time, so kind of found my way to my current company.
And how much do you make doing this?
Ballpark 100 to 140.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
You learn a lot, especially in this industry. You can go from different projects and different industries. You're always learning, which is the great part.
Do you feel like you're fairly compensated?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And what advice would you give to someone that wants to become a consultant?
Don't hesitate to ask questions.
Nazat.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a UX designer.
What's a day in the life look like as a UX designer?
Depends on the project. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not, but it's fun.
And how did you get into this?
I did my master's degree in UX design, so yeah.
How much do you make doing this?
75,000 right now, currently. I'm still kind of new. Like, it's only been 2 years.
And do you feel like you're fairly compensated?
Not at all. I feel like I can do better, but then the job market right now is really bad.
And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
The interviews I get to do, that's fun. Each project has like target audience, like user groups.
Yeah.
So you interview them to know their pain points, all the problems that they're having, so that I can design better for them.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into UX design?
Do your research, always. I mean, make sure that you're getting compensated properly.
My name is Sumesh.
My name is Diana.
And what do you guys do for a living?
I'm working in a hospitality industry, in a restaurant industry, as a restaurant manager.
And I'm a student here. I'm studying at Centennial College. I'm studying hotel operations management for 2 years. So basically I have two jobs. So one is in the catering company and then the second one is in a hotel.
And how much do you guys make doing what you're doing?
This industry, I would say 50 to 70, so I'm making somewhere in between, I would say, yeah.
40 to 50,000 as well for a year for two jobs.
And what's a day in the life look like at your job?
Some days are really busy and some days are good, but there is a good work-life balance, I would say, in Canada. So we are happy what we have it for the moment.
I'm enjoying actually. I love my job.
Do you guys feel like you're fairly compensated?
For this industry, it depends. If you're in the hotel, the payment going to be a little bit higher. But if you're in an independent restaurant or restaurant chain, it's a fair salary, I would say.
Yes, for me, I can say yes.
Yeah. And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
The guest experience. So I'm really passionate about, to seeing the different people and their culture and their food. So that makes me to stay in this industry for quite long.
Same as what he answered. So I am also passionate in what my job is. Yeah, I love my job and I do it with my whole heart.
Gianni Samuel.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a fashion model and an influencer.
And how did you get into being a model / influencer?
Ever since I was a kid, like my mom, she put me into fashion because like she's an artist.
Yeah.
I always had that fashion in my family. That's how I got into it,
Yeah. And how does a day in the life look like doing what you do?
It's hard. Being an influencer is hard. I believe that you're an influencer as well. You know the struggle to try to put content together, try to create new content.
Yeah.
It's hard, but hey, I love what I do.
Gotta get brand deals.
Yeah, brand deals. You gotta like do everything just for them to see you and try to collab with you.
Speaking of brand deals, how much do you make doing this?
Per month, I'd say roughly $2,400.
What advice would you give to someone to do what you're doing?
I'll just say be yourself, man. Like, just start recording. Forget about being scared. Your friends judging you. Forget about that, bro. Because at the end of the day, that's you being you, and you're gonna earn money from what you like. Just be yourself.
Hi, I'm JR.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm doing my job as a continuing care assistant, and other job is group aid activity in Government of Saskatchewan Ministry.
And what does a day in the life look like with two jobs?
It's a lot of challenges. If you love what you're doing, helping people, it makes easy for you and being inspired for helping others.
And how much do you make?
99,000 a year.
So what advice would you give to someone that just wants to hustle, go get it, and make some money like you do?
And being strong, who really you are, is what your weapons to use here in Canada.
Will,
And what do you do for a living?
I am a touring accounts manager. So my job is to pretty much open up a whole bunch of different exhibitions throughout the Americas.
What does a day in the life look like doing that?
A lot of running around, staffing, budgeting, making sure that my exhibition is set up perfectly, production, you name it, I do it.
And how much do you make doing this?
$80,000. I have about 10 years experience in this industry.
And what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out and wants to get into doing what you're doing?
Start small, continue to just work on your craft, perfect it. The sky's the limit, and just make sure you're always putting yourself out there.
Regina.
And what do you do for a living?
So I work in an optometrist office and I'm also studying business management at Seneca.
What do you do at the optometrist office?
I work as a frame stylist. I basically analyze your face and see what type of glasses fits you better.
You literally judge people's faces.
Basically.
How much do you make doing this?
50,000 a year. I'm working full time. So I'm not focusing on the school right now. I'm more focusing on the job.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this?
Be honest. Don't be afraid to say that a person look bad.
Yeah.
But be kind.
Do it nicely.
Yes.
Bill.
And what do you do for a living?
I work as a health promoter at UofT.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
It's very different every day. So sometimes I work a lot with students, and that's like the best part of the job is like talking to students and getting to know what they need. And sometimes I work with like other stakeholders, like higher ups, leadership, and so on. And that's also pretty exciting.
And how many years of experience do you have?
Full time, I'd say like 3 years,
How much do you make?
like around almost 80K.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into this industry?
I think networking is a really good thing to do, like getting to know people who are in the field and like really just being interested in that.
And what's your favorite thing about what you do?
I think it's the students in the community. Like I get a lot of my energy from them. It's exhausting, but once you interact with students and once you get to hear, you know, what their concerns are and like their vision and passion for the work of mental health, it gives you a lot of energy to do the work.
Damon.
And what do you do for a living?
I am an executive director for an education nonprofit.
How'd you get into this?
I started as a teacher and I taught for 3 years and then I did some coaching for a little bit. 12 years later, I ended up the executive director.
And what's a day in the life look like as an executive director?
It varies. So sometimes I'll be in classrooms in the morning serving teachers and then I'll have conversations with donors, funders who want to support our work. Then I might be talking with politicians or other elected officials just about the policies that make the most sense for the kids that I work with.
How much do you make doing this?
So I make about $125K. I think that's just base salary. I haven't thought about everything included.
And what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into the education space?
Start in the classroom because that is where you're going to get the most perspective about the things that are going well and the things that aren't.
Fortune.
And what do you do for a living?
I bartend.
What's a day in the life look like as a bartender?
I just get to make drinks, serve customers, have fun, be some money. It's not bad.
How long you been doing it?
I'd say like a year, almost a year plus.
And how much do you make off of bartending?
The job I have, I'd say like roughly 4 to 5K a month.
And what would you say your favorite thing about being a bartender is?
Being able to socialize with people, just meeting new people is probably the best aspect, especially if you're a person that can see yourself to be like an introvert.
And what advice would you give to someone in the service industry or wants to get into the service industry?
Just control your spending. Honestly, save your money, invest it. That's the best you can do for yourself.
Becky.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an actor. Theater, film and television, that kind of stuff.
And did you study it?
Yeah, I studied theater.
What do you want to work in? Do you want to like do movies, commercials?
All of the above. I want to do more writing, so I'm working on that, yeah.
And do you have any student debt from studying?
I was actually really lucky. My parents were able to help me.
How much do you make as an actress?
It kind of depends on the job. Honestly, some years you could be really struggling. Like on an indie theater thing, you might make like $500, whereas like a commercial thing, you might make like $10,000.
What's your favorite thing about acting? Like, why did you choose this?
It's my passion. I love doing it. It's fun and I get to do it with like really cool people.
Ida.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an engineer. I'm in medical devices.
What's a day in the life look like as an engineer?
Write code, I'll test the code, I'll test the machines, and then develop algorithms, test those algorithms, collect data.
And what did you study? Like, how did you get into this?
I studied mechatronics engineering in my undergrad, and I also did a master's.
And how much do you make doing what you're doing?
I make $105K.
How many years of experience?
9.
What's your favorite thing about what you do? What do you like about being an engineer?
I think my job is very different than most engineers, and that's what I like because it's really hands-on, and I actually get to do interesting work, and then I actually also get to see it like come to life in front of me too.
And what advice would you give to people that want to become engineers and builders?
Start with personal projects, I think. Some kind of problem in your life that you want to solve. Like something that I want to solve is like my cat keeps trying to break down my door at night, so I want to automate something so that I can just press the button and I can open the door for him.
Is that something you actually did? good?
Not yet. I thought about it.
Maha Khan.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a law clerk at an immigration firm.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
A lot of filing, scanning, and just a lot of tasks.
And how'd you get into this?
So I was actually working for a real estate firm before, and then I didn't really like it. So immigration is much more interesting to me personally.
How much do you make doing what you're doing?
I make 45K.
And how many years of experience do you have?
Like 3 years, yeah.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Helping like people like all across the world.